Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, Hananya. Welcome to the show and welcome to
Thank you.
India. Okay. So, to everyone, I'll just introduce Hananya. I don't think that's necessary, but just matter of formality, I'm just going with that. Hanania is a prominent Israeli speaker and a social media influencer, not just social media, even outside. He travels a lot explaining things about the Israel and the Jewish community, anti-Semitism, and all these topics all over the world. And he travels a lot. And I've been behind him to get him on this live show since last couple of months. And finally, we got him. And thank you so much for joining with us. And he is also a part of the Prime Minister Netanyahu, the digital team through which he is giving us a lot of information regarding the war, and even when there was no war, he was giving out a lot of information which I used to closely follow. And to sum up the intro, I just want to introduce him as a person who gave me a lot of information and to give a chance to learn about anti-Semitism and to come out of this anti-Semitic mindset that I was carrying when I was a believer and I was a Muslim. So now when I'm a proud ex-Muslim and I voice against this anti-Semitism, these are the reasons, and he's the person who was behind that. So thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And
Yeah.
namaste, shalom, hello.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to, before going into the discussion or the question answer, could you please give us a keynote, a kind of an intro to the whole thing, which you can give it in 10 or 15 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
we are right now in the middle of this war. A lot of people are hoping that it's the end of the war. Many people are asking themselves, what is this war all about? How did it start? So just in short, it started a little bit over 8 months ago when Hamas terrorists decided to infiltrate into Israel, invade Israel, massacre 1,200 civilians. They burned homes, set on fire people, raped women, kidnapped over 200 civilians. And as a result of that, Israel, of course, had no other choice but to retaliate and officially started to respond to that. And ever since we are at war, I myself was deployed into the Israel Defense Forces. We have had, yeah, we did have to pay a heavy price. A lot of soldiers have made the ultimate sacrifice. And as we are speaking right now, there are rocket sirens happening
Mm.
in northern Israel. So we are having this war from the south and from the north. From the south, it's Hamas. North, it's Hezbollah. And what they have in common is that both of them are radical Islamists. Both of them want to see the destruction of Israel, and both of them have one connection, and it is through the Islamic regime in Iran that sees the annihilation of Israel as their ultimate goal to dominate the Middle East. Because you have to understand that Israel is the one democracy in the Middle East. It's like a sister democracy to India, the largest democracy in the world. So a lot of people that don't like democracies attack Israel. They don't want to see Israel existing because they see Israel as an obstacle to them dominating the Middle East and the world. They want to establish a radical caliphate, and they see Israel as a problem in establishing that. So the war is ongoing. And right now, it's very intense, especially in the north, because the head of Hezbollah, the terror organization Nasrallah, just yesterday gave a speech where he threatened to invade also the Galilee. I was born and raised in the Galilee, by the way, in the north, and this is what we are seeing right now. I have to say it sounds very complicated, and but it's actually very simple. This is a war between good and evil, radicals and peacemakers. So you have to know where you stand, either on the side of making peace or the side of radicalism. And on, yeah, so it's actually crazy to see how it develops, because I have to tell you, when the war started, the world stood with Israel. The world condemned Hamas. But when Israel began retaliating and responding, that's when the support ended. And now they're criticizing Israel. The UN is criticizing Israel, Amnesty, human rights organizations, because they're fine with Jews being victims, but they're not fine with Jews being armed and strong. And I think that many Indians see themselves in this conflict, because also Indian nationals, India as a country, have suffered a lot of radical terror attacks, and we know the taste of it. We know what it is capable of, and we know that at the end of the day, you cannot negotiate with these radicals, because they say, think like us, or you don't have the right to live. It's either you believe in what we believe, or we will kill you. And I'm certain that you can also fill in regards to the mindset of what radicalism stands for. But I have to say that we Israelis are just like the Indian people. We may live far apart, but our hearts are very close. Especially in this war, it really touched our hearts to see people in India standing with Israel, people in India taking the time to to celebrate release of hostages, and to cry together with us when we bury our loved ones, just as we in Israel assimilate and mourn together with India when it is suffering terrorism, and celebrate victories together. So I have to say, this war that we are seeing right now in Israel, it's between light and darkness. Our victory is going to be the victory of India as well, because we are one, we are united, and the charter of Hamas terror organization is to see the destruction of Israel. They want to build an Islamic state on top of Israel, and quite frankly, they're not happy with Israel wanting to defend itself. And we see nowadays a lot of people, they question Israel's right to defend itself, and they talk about ceasefire, apartheid, starvation, and I'm hoping we will be able to cover all of that, because
sure.
I think many people have interesting questions like, does Israel starve civilians? Are we occupying? Is there an apartheid? Is there do we mistreat Muslims or Christians, or I don't know what? But I have to tell you, I was there in the Gaza Strip. I entered into the Gaza Strip. I also was on the borders between Israel and the Gaza Strip, and I saw the humanitarian aid trucks entering from Israel into the Gaza Strip. So we'll cover it all, but I have to say that at the end of the day, we don't have the privilege to ceasefire. The day the Arabs, as Golda Meir said, will lay down their weapons, that's the day we will have peace. If we lay down our weapons, there will be no Israel. And in a sense, it's the same for India, because there are enemies that want to see the decline of India, because India is a rising superpower. In the decline of the West, India is a rising power, and there are many countries that do not want to see that happening. So they want to highlight issues, but at the end of the day, in Israel, we don't have this privilege. Just like you don't have this privilege, you have to stand on guard, and we don't have the right to defend our people. We have the duty to do so. When I served in the Israel Defense Forces, it was not to protect the borders of Israel. It was to protect my family. Just imagine what would happen if you had your neighbors wanting to murder you. You would want a strong army to defend you. You would want a strong army to make sure that nothing will happen to you and your loved ones. This is what Israel is doing today. We are not interested in wars. We are interested in peace, but you cannot make peace with radicals. There are good people in Gaza, in Israel, in the Middle East. The problem is with radicals, not with ordinary people that want to live their lives. So that kind of sums up the reality right now. But right now, it seems like Israel is getting ready to escalation, to possible escalation in the north. Our chief of staff, the top general of the Israeli army, visited the north, and he said that many people want to see the end of Israel, but it's not going to happen.
Okay, so that's a wonderful roundup, and I think that gives pretty clear an idea of what's going on and what are the intentions. And I don't know how many of you got attention into the words that Hanania was using. He never used Gazans or the Palestinians or the innocents over there or the civilians over there. He was always mentioning the terrorists, the people who are causing the trouble and all. So that shows one thing. And I just wanted to hear it from himself. That is, being a former IDF soldier, what exactly is the direction given to you in fighting this the people or this issue or in all these Gazan wars? I have found you have fought the 2014 Gazan war, I remember so. So in that way, even when this time after the October 7th terror attack that was caused by this Hamas terrorist organization, when the people ask for a proportionate warring, how is that possible? Because being a legitimate country and a legitimate army, a force, how can you kill indiscriminately civilians the way Hamas did on October 7th? So how would you see that kind of a proportionate argument?
Absolutely, like you said, many people argue and say, well, it's unfortunate that the death toll in Israel is over 1,200, but in Gaza, the death toll is over 30,000. What is your response to that? They ask us Israelis. And they say, don't you think that this is a not proportionate response? And first of all, there are two ways to answer this. The first way is to simply, I'm simply saying, the health ministry in Gaza is run by Hamas. They count every death as a civilian casualty death. They also count the deaths that they are causing by misfired rockets or by Palestinians that they are killing themselves as part of this war death toll. Now, this does not mean to take away from the tragic of loss of human life, because I always say it, be it Palestinian or Israeli, you're a human being. It doesn't make you better than, I'm not better than Palestinians, I'm not better than Arabs, and they're not better than me. We're all human beings. And it's tragic when there's a loss of innocent life. But then the second part to that answer is, what do you mean exactly by proportionate response? Because Hamas terrorists raped women, then murdered them. This is, by the way, recorded in a testimony of one of the Nukhba Hamas terrorists that were captured. They said that he's saying my father and I raped a victim and then he murdered her. So what do you mean by proportionate response? Do you want us expect the Israeli army to rape exactly the same women they raped, to kill exactly the same amount of baby that they had killed, and to do all these horrific murders, war crimes, and to just go about our day? We are not like them. We are not monsters. We don't have an army because we like wars. We have an army because we must defend ourselves. Israel in its history never started a war. It was always waged against us. But our enemies must keep in mind that Israel also never lost a war, and we're not going to lose this one. So I have to say, even the fact that Hamas portray themselves as victims, I'll say this: even if you lose a war, this does not make you a victim. That goes to say, even when Hamas are losing the war, they're not victims. They're the ones that waged this war, and now they're whining because they're losing this war. So if you start something that you don't know how it's going to end, you should not have started it in the first place.
Yeah. So when we mention about the day when it was started, that is October 7th, there's a prominent argument going on that Israel missed the intelligence reports that could predict this October 7th, or somehow you missed that. How would you respond to that?
That's a question that all of us Israelis have. Israel is a technological superpower,
Yeah.
superpower in defense, in innovation, medicine, and India of all countries know that very well because we actually partner in developing defense system together. And it was just recently announced that India was the Israel broke a record of exporting defense systems and military equipment, and India was the number one buyer. So India of all countries know the capabilities that Israel has, but at the end of the day, it's something that we are all shocked to learn what happened on October 7th. It caught us by surprise. There's nothing else that can be said about it. It caught all of the nation by surprise. And it's heartbreaking to see the following reports. Just this week, it was reported that there was a report by the Israeli intelligence that it intercepted a Hamas plan to kidnap more than 200 civilians and to invade Israeli villages. So it's something that some people knew about it, but this report was dismissed. Now, some people go to the extent of saying that there was an inside job or that there was some sort of betrayal. I don't believe that. I don't think that this was the case. I think that no one imagined that Hamas, Hamas was treated like a small terrorist organization compared to Hezbollah, that is actually the most powerful non-state actor, the most powerful terror organization. So I think that many people dismissed what Hamas is capable of doing. So they could not believe that Hamas is capable of invading Israel, murdering civilians, and also kidnapping hundreds of civilians. So, but of course, we are speaking as the war is still ongoing. There are still questions to be answered. And there has still not been a thorough investigation of that. So I think that we will know the answers. It's a question of time.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say that Israel has never initiated a war, and also Israel has never lost a war, this current ongoing war, how much would you say that you have accomplished your goals in eliminating Hamas? Could you give a percentage or something?
So I have to say, by the way, just for our Indian audience to understand how tragic this is to us Israelis. I should have calculated before our talk, but I know the number in compared to the US, and in a country of 9 million people, to have 1,200 people die in one day, murdered in one day, this is equivalent to 50,000 Americans killed in one day. So obviously the number in India killed in one day would be much, much larger. So this is our 9/11. This is the most tragic day since the Holocaust to the Jewish people in modern history. Just to give you perspective, more people died on October 7th than in the Six-Day War. So just for you to grasp the tragedy of that, funeral after funeral after funeral, families that lost their loved ones, mothers that are crying out that are never going to see their sons and daughters again. So this is something that we cannot turn a blind eye to. And so that is something that we have to never forget, that what Israel is dealing with right now is something that it's not just us. It's not just Israel's problem. Hamas is a radical ideology. You are seeing this with we see throughout history that India had suffered radical Islamist terror attacks, such as the Mumbai bombings, and there were several other attempts to bomb Israeli embassies, to place explosives there. And I'm asking this question: why do they want to solve everything with a bomb? Why do they want to solve problems through suicide bombers, through rockets, through stabbings? Can't you speak? Can't you talk like human beings? And that's the difference. There are radicals that you can't negotiate with. The only language they understand is the iron fist.
Bon.
And I'm sure that Indians know this very well. Radicals cannot understand your language.
Yeah, so that's a tint of democracy that is required to first to engage in dialogues, to believe in solving problems through that. So if that's not present, it's very difficult to expect, or it's foolish to expect them to come forward for talking. And even when you talk about this current incident, we have a name that is mentioned over and over. That's Yahya Sinwar. He's the mastermind behind this October 7th, and he was a person who was released from Israeli prison in a exchange program, something like that. So, and he planned this for almost 6 years without giving a clue of planning any of this. So, do you think that these people, even if they you feel like they are going through a peaceful season, did you lose the confidence in believing their peace?
I'll answer you with a story. There was a released hostage in the I think it was in the first wave of negotiations, and then this hostage was released. Her name is Ada Sagi. She was a peace activist, and so people would place her on the left side of the political map. She believed in peace until she was kidnapped by Hamas. And she spoke with BBC, and she said, Ada Sagi is her name. And she said, I no longer believe in peace. I no longer believe in making peace with, I'm adding to her answer, with these savages that kidnapped me. So that then you know, everything that Hamas is built on in their 1988 charter, they say, as I've stated, they want to see the end of Israel. I have to tell you, I was in Norway. I'm traveling quite a lot, especially in this war, because I see value in going to countries that need to hear the truth and to create bridges, to create friendship. So I was in Norway. I was in Oslo, and I saw these anti-Israel protesters. I came up to them and I said, I'm an Israeli. I want to have a conversation with you. Can we agree on something? To make a long story short, they said, give us a state and we can agree on that. We can have peace. So I asked him, but then you chant free Palestine from the river to the sea. That's where Israel is. So do you want a state next to Israel or what? And they say, no, we want all of Israel. So I tell them, so do you want the two-state solution? Do you want peace, or do you not want it? So that's I hope that answers in a way, you know, because at the end of the day, many Israelis lost hope for peace, but I have not lost it. I have not lost hope for peace. You just need to make a difference between radicals. You cannot make peace with radicals. This is by default. You can make peace with ordinary people that want to live their lives. You know, because normal people wake up in the morning and they don't want to bomb someone. They want to go to work, even if they're happy, not happy. They want to care for their family and come back home without being stabbed in the middle of it. So, but you know, I guess in the Middle East, it's too much to ask for, to have a state of your own, a Jewish state. I don't know if the audience knows it, but there are in the world, if I'm not wrong, 31 countries that their flag has the cross in it. and 21 countries with the Islam symbol in it. So 31 Christian, 21 Muslim, and only one Jewish Jewish flag, Jewish state. Is this too much to ask for? Well, if you ask the radicals, so apparently yes.
Okay. So, well, when we say this, the normal people, they yearn for peace and they are ready for that and to work for that. So is that the reason why we are not hearing about the West Bank and the leaders over there meddling with this issue and trying to gain some momentum for their own purposes? So we are not seeing that way. So how would you comment over that? Why West Bank is silent now?
So this is something that I'm also trying to understand myself, because when we read actually there were polls conducted after October 7, I think by Reuters, that reported that 70% of people in Gaza support the Hamas massacre. And then there was a recent poll that was conducted in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, that stated that the majority, I think it was over 90%, but I don't know how accurate it is. But bottom line, the majority support these acts of aggression against Jews. So then you have this one camp, the radicalized camp, and then you have actual people that want to live in peace. I have to tell you, it's quite confusing. But in Israel, in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, we have three zones. So one zone is under like where Israelis can live. It's A, B, C, and A is under the control of the Palestinian Authority. I cannot go there. Long story short, I was in the Dead Sea, and I met a Palestinian family there. They invited me for coffee. They tell me, we want peace with you. We don't support what our leaders are saying. And I believe that a lot of people are like that. A lot of people, they want to care for their families. They want to just to give you a perspective. Before this war, Israel had over 100,000 Palestinians coming to work in Israel every day. Thousands of them were coming from Gaza. So now with this war, no worker. Yeah, it's closed. I think and Israel started bringing foreign workers from India, and I saw some from Colombia also, but I think the majority now are coming from India. I think it's a good deal because Israel and Israelis trust India a lot more than people from the Palestinian Authority. That because at the end of the day, if you look at the statistics, we were not attacked by Indian nationals. We were attacked by Palestinian nationals throughout history. So yeah.
Okay. So, well, at this point, I need to make a request to you. So, just like I'm with you, talking to you like this, I also wish to talk to a Palestinian who believes in peace and peacemaking processes, and who wishes to have a change in that place. So, if you could recommend any one of them, please do that for us, so that we can talk to them and to give a clear idea of how this is not happening there, the real peace initiatives. So I think you will help me out in that.
Absolutely. I have to just insert quickly that I just 2 days ago I was hanging out with my Arab friend in Nazareth, the predominantly Arab city. Arabs, Palestinians, they're not the problem. It is radicalism that is the problem.
Absolutely.
I believe in peace. I don't believe in kicking people out of their homes. I don't believe in targeting civilians. This is not something that I did in the army, and this is not something that Israel believes in. When you grow up in Israel, you grow up to have conversation. You grow up to pursue peace, not conflict.
Great. So I'll look into that. Okay.
Absolutely.
So now, when we talk about this war, and if in any way, if we try to convince the people that it's not the Israel is the problem, it's the Hamas is the problem. You need to stand with Israel if you really wish to have peace in that region. And finally, they come up with the argument that, so what about the children dying over there, the innocent people dying over there? So we try to give about a definition about human shields. So I'd like to hear from you as a frontline IDF soldier once you were that. So could you explain how this exactly this human shield works and how this adds to the number of deaths, which is even counted by the UN, and they are forced to revise the numbers and to fall into some boiling water. So could you please give us some idea of that?
Yeah, so number one, Israel does not target children. Israel does not target civilians. One of the big problems in the Gaza Strip is that Hamas dresses as in civilian clothes, but then they attack us with RPGs. We have seen videos. They're filming themselves sitting in civilian clothes, drinking coffee, and firing mortar shells into Israel. That makes it difficult. But then you have to ask yourself this question: wouldn't it be easier for Israel to just work using the Air Force and not to use ground forces? Of course, it would have been easier, and our forces would not have been at risk as much.
Yeah,
but we care for civilians. We care for human life. That's why Israel sent ground forces in, also to complete the mission of rescuing hostages, but also to act in precision. Because what kind of an army distributes millions of leaflets from the air? So just imagine there's an aircraft that takes off with millions of flyers, flies above the Gaza Strip, and distributes it. We deployed drones with speakers warning civilians to go away from places where the IDF, the Israeli army, wants to operate. And we made phone calls to families asking them to evacuate because we want to operate in their neighborhood. So what kind of an army spends so much money and energy to warn the other side? Because trust me, the same civilians that pick up the leaflets, right next to them, also Hamas terrorists pick up the leaflets and know Israel's plans in a way. But we are willing to make this concession as long as civilians are safe. And on the other side, you see Hamas terrorists that launch rockets from civilian areas. There was an IDF officer operating in Rafah that said that every house they entered had a tunnel shaft in it, meaning every house that the IDF found was connected to the tunnel network of Hamas. So that is very, very worrying to see that they're using civilian infrastructure to target Israel. But at the end of the day, we don't want civilians hurt. Before this war, I have to say there were civilians entering into Israel to get medical care.
True. Not just medical care, they were working there. That's
what
you
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's on top of that. I saw it with my own eyes. But that's something that's happening on the ground, and it really means a lot to us in Israel. You have no idea how touching it is when we see people in India protesting in support of Israel. And also I saw Indian police taking action against not against freedom of speech, but against incitement for terror, because the pro-Hamas rallies by radical Muslims were supporting terror. It was not freedom of speech; it was supporting terror and calling for terror, and that is not freedom of speech. So I'm very happy to see that in India they're very strict about safeguarding the future of India.
And that's the only reason why I have an Israeli flag behind me, because I just want to make it clear, loud and clear, that I'm against radicalization and terrorizing activities in any name. And in this case, if you are against terrorism, if you are against radicalizing forces, and if you are for peacemaking, then the only way by which you can bring about peace in this region is to stand with Israel. That's my point of view, and I just wanted to make it clear without any doubt left. So that's the reason. So I just wanted to make it. So now,
Absolutely.
yeah. So now, when coming to this ground operations, you mentioned about this tunnel systems. So for us, we have listened to how this tunnels operate and how it's built, and how it's a difficult area for the IDF to operate. Like, even you were planning to pump the seawater into that and to help evacuate the Hamas terrorists from them. So could you please give us a light into how dangerous and how difficult this tunnel system is, and how long it is, and a horrific idea about that?
Right. So I have to say that we have seen that and learned that there is an entire underground city called the Terror Tunnel Network in Gaza, and it's hundreds of kilometers of terror tunnels under the buildings, under cities, and that makes it a lot more difficult for I guess any army to operate there, because they are cynically using civilians and civilian infrastructure. There is the cost of one terror tunnel is estimated to be $3 million, and in the past, in over a decade, Gaza received billions of dollars in aid. If I'm not wrong, this is around $40 billion. Now, just to organize the thoughts in our minds, $40 billion, billions of dollars go to Gaza. The metro in Dubai cost about $7 billion, and it's a beautiful one. $7 billion to build this metro. I'm asking, where is the metro in Gaza? Why don't we see beautiful skyscrapers? And it's because Hamas is stealing the money, cynically using civilians as human shields, and so there is suffering in Gaza, but it's created by the governing authority, Hamas. So I think that a lot of people are also are afraid to criticize Hamas because they know that they will be considered traitors and executed. That's how they solve problems there. They just execute you. So this tunnel network is something that has been a challenge for I assume ground forces. And also the fear that there are hostages being held there. So you have to be very, very careful when you enter into the terror tunnel. I mean, think about it. It's not only urban warfare, but also under the ground. And but the Israeli army has the right tools, has the right way of dealing with the tunnels, the right technology, and I'm sure that this is not something that is stopping from advancement, because just when the Israeli army had entered Rafah, the southernmost part of the Gaza Strip, it eliminated over 500 terrorists. It found 200 tunnel shafts, and so to sum it up, they eliminated 2 out of 4 Hamas battalions in Gaza. In Rafah, sorry. So it definitely Hamas that is not as strong and powerful as it was before, because they were just eliminated. So yeah, that's in short the story of the tunnels. It's just crazy that they say they build tunnels under houses, knowing that there are families living above the tunnel, and they don't care about it.
So, well, in fact, what percentage of these tunnels could have got destroyed in this war? Do you have any estimate on that? Like, how much is left?
I didn't see any numbers in regards to that, but it's very easy to dig tunnels in Gaza because it's mostly sand. I think what people talk about in Israel right now is that the biggest concern is not the tunnels in Gaza, but the tunnels in Lebanon that Hezbollah is building. Because a few years ago, Israel discovered, I think, 6 or more tunnels built by Hezbollah. And so this use of, look, the use of terror tunnels is not a new invention. But of course that is something that is a challenge. But it's not something that Israel is unable to deal with.
Okay. So anyway, I hope we are getting an idea of how difficult it is to operate. Usually we talk about Air Force, the military, and the Navy. Now I think we'll have to look for another wing of an army, that is for underground wing of an army. Okay, maybe in the future we might
Absolutely,
see that.
yeah. I mean,
so when you say that they are also building this tunnels in Lebanon, that means it's another huge problem that you are about to face from Lebanon in the future.
Yeah, but in Lebanon it's much more difficult to build tunnels because it's mostly rocky mountains. So that is a lot more difficult. But I have to say, since you're ex-Muslim, you know that Sunni Muslims do not get along with Shia Muslims, and Hezbollah is Shia, Hamas is Sunni, but somehow they're getting along together because they have a mutual hatred towards Israel.
Yeah.
So actually, I say this: when you see so many radicals hating Israel, that's when you know that Israel is doing the right thing, because it's pissing off all the radicals. But they can keep dreaming. We are going to continue being strong, because I have to tell you, many people ask, what is the secret of Israel? And actually, many Indian nationals also come to Israel to learn, the agriculture technologies, defense, medicine. I think the secret of Israel is that we don't see ourselves as victims. Look, we have been through a lot. We've been through a lot, the Holocaust, war after war. But look what Israel did in 76 years. Israel became a superpower, global superpower, this tiny nation of Israel. Because we don't focus on being victims, we are focused on building the future. And that's something that I see in Indians as well. They are concerned about the future and about the future of their children, the future of their country. And that is why India is a rising power.
Okay, that's a great message. And to my fellow Indians who might be listening to this, please take it so serious. And we have a living example of how a country can prosper if you believe in yourself and if you always look forward into the future to build a nation. That's truly futuristic, and that helps a lot, instead of lingering on to past and history and doing such nasty things, and you will never progress. And this is something which we can take as a beautiful message from today's discussion. So now, going forward, we have seen a lot of buildings getting destroyed in the Gaza after October 7th. And before October 7th, the narrative was something different, like Gaza is an open prison. Everything is being shut there. No electricity, no water, and everything is being controlled by Israel. So that was how it was called. And after October 7th, what we are seeing now is that, see how beautiful Gaza was, and now everything is destroyed by Israel. So there's a mismatch or a disparity between these two arguments. So my question is, was Gaza an open prison, as they used to claim?
That's something that, it's like, make up your minds, okay, with your propaganda. So was Gaza an open prison, or was Gaza a paradise before this war? It seems like they have still didn't make up their minds. Also the same thing with released hostages. When Israel rescued the hostages, that you saw two narratives. People say people starve in Gaza, but then they also say, look how well
We have
fed
fed.
the hostages are. So make up your minds: is there starvation or what? So same thing about the open air prison. You know, I pity the people that are making these accusations, because they have probably never been to Israel or Gaza, and they're merely basing their opinions on the mainstream media. If you base your opinions on the mainstream media, you have a problem, because the mainstream media cannot be trusted. Look at how the mainstream media is treating India and making a monster out of India. And I bet that many Indian nationals do not agree with that. That doesn't go to say that there is no perfect country on planet Earth. But regarding the largest open prison, this claim made by activists, oftentimes
Even
they forget. Yeah.
even Al Jazeera was reporting that way.
Oh yeah, but Al Jazeera is not a news channel. Al Jazeera is a government organization. It's owned
Okay.
by Qatar. So you have a government that tells the news channel what to say. So it's so they want to lecture us about telling the truth and the facts. But look, regarding this claim, many people forget to say, they forget to look at the map and to see that Gaza also has a border with Egypt. So so if Gaza is the largest open prison on planet Earth, what is Egypt's role in it? So oftentimes they don't talk about Egypt; they only talk about Israel, forgetting that it is through Israel that humanitarian aid is crossing into the Gaza Strip. So as of yesterday, the accurate number is that Israel sent more than 35,000 humanitarian aid trucks into the Gaza Strip. That is the length from Milan to Paris. Okay, that's a lot of, if you line up the trucks.
Trucks. Okay.
So but the problem is that some people don't care about the facts, don't care about the stories, don't care about anything, and they just care about hating. And let me tell you this: when I defend Israel, when I speak with you right now, I don't speak because I hate Palestinians. I speak because I love Israel. When people act against Israel on social media, they don't care about Palestinians. They just hate Israel. So if you care for Palestinians, you need to stand with Israel, because it is the one country that cares for the people more than their own leaders.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Now I have three questions clubbed together. What are the steps taken by Israel to protect your own civilians in any conflicts like these? And what are the steps taken by the Gazan government that was governed by Hamas themselves to protect Gazan civilians? And now, finally, what are the steps taken by Israel during this conflict to protect the Gazan civilian?
So I think that's what we discussed, that Israel throughout this war took many steps to protect Palestinian civilians. It is a priority of the Israel Defense Forces. Just to tell you, when I joined the Israel Defense Forces on my first day in the army, I got my uniforms and I got a small booklet called the IDF Code of Ethics. You first of all learn as a soldier how to behave like a human being. You learn about human rights, and only then you are given a weapon, not the other way around. In the Israeli army, you first of all learn about human rights. So Israel took all these steps we talked about, making phone calls, distributing aid to Palestinians. Of course, Israel even purchased thousands of tents for refugees displaced by the war. And on top of that, Israeli troops on the ground also took care of elderly men and women that they found of need, that were left behind, or I don't know what. So we're taking all these steps to ensure the safety of Palestinian civilians, because Israel is doing everything in its power to put civilians out of harm's way, while Hamas is doing everything in its power to put civilians exactly in harm's way. So that is why you see this conflict of interest, that we don't want to hurt Palestinians. Hamas does not care about Palestinians. So obviously, regarding the answer of what does Hamas do to ensure the safety of civilians, this is a joke, because they do nothing. Actually, they see the Wall Street Journal intercepted conversation of Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, that he said, the more blood, the better it is for our cause. By blood, he means the blood of civilians. Exactly. He does not care for Palestinians. He sees them as a tool, as a toy. Their blood is used to serve an agenda. And that is the difference. The radical Islam preaches and sanctifies death and terror. Israel sanctifies life and peace. We celebrate life. We celebrate peace. In Israeli hospitals before this war, you could see Palestinians receiving life-saving treatments and surgeries by Israeli doctors. We love life, regardless of your faith. What is your skin color? What do you think? What do you believe in? You're a human being, and this is how you're treated in Israeli hospitals. Just to give you, try to imagine. We talked about thousands of Palestinians coming from Gaza to work in Israel before this war. Imagine what would happen to me. What would happen to me if I enter the Gaza Strip? That goes to show you that we value life regardless of who you are, and if you enter there, you'll be lynched to death. So that's just the contrast of the reality here.
So I just wanted to you to add something to the percentage of Arab Muslims living in Israel and how they are visible in your society, whether it be in the government organizations, IDF, in the parliament. So a few points about that. The Muslims.
Yeah. Well, I'm first of all, I think like this live stream is going to make a lot of radicals angry. So be careful, because I'm getting death threats every day, but I love it because I love to make the radicals angry. They need to know the truth.
We are on the same boat.
So that's something that I enjoy for breakfast and lunch and dinner. But in Israel, we have 2 million Arabs. Majority of them are Muslims. We don't have Class A and Class B citizens. You have the same identification card. You have the same passport. You can elect and get elected. We have in the parliament Muslims. We have had in the government Muslims. But not only Muslims, all kinds of minorities, such as Druze people and Christians. So you have freedom in Israel. You're not Class A and Class B. And actually, there was also a survey conducted among Israeli Arabs, and it found that the vast majority of them would not trade their Israeli passport for anything else. They would not give up their citizenship and move out to any other Arab country. Why? Okay. Because they love it in Israel. They know that Israel is not a problem. Israel is blessing them. Just come to Israel. Come to Israeli villages. You will see the wealth. You will see the nice cars that I would wish I had.
So is that the reason why when the whole world raises the slogan, that genocidal slogan, from river to sea, Palestine will be free, they never care about this Muslim who is living in Israel peacefully, who is not willing to trade his passport for anything else? So these
Absolutely.
people are... We never see them care about them.
I have to say, the Amnesty released a report, and they said that there is apartheid in Israel. I went with this report to my Muslim Bedouin friend, who served in the army, by the way. I came to him and I said, look, now in Europe, Amnesty said that you live in apartheid. What is your answer to that? And he told me, this is modern day colonialism. They colonize my thoughts because they think that I'm too weak and too stupid to have my own opinion. And he says, I can think for myself, and I'm proud to be an Israeli. And in a way, that reminds me of the story of India, because when India was under when India was colonized, People said that one book in English is worth an entire library of Hindi books. So they thought that Indians are not even capable of thinking for themselves. So this is what you are seeing right now. Our answer is, rest assured, we are smart. We know how to think for ourselves, and that's what Israeli Arabs are saying, because they know that it's a joke.
Yeah, so that's fine. Now, when this war is being fought now, it's not just a war against the terror, it's also a war against disinformation. That is, some deliberate attempts to disseminate false information in the guise of right information to fool people and to misguide them from even the historical facts are misrepresented or they are misquoted and all such things. We are seeing that. So apart from that, even if we just keep aside the historical things, even the matter which is going on as a part of this war, even that is being misquoted and misrepresented. So in that scenario, there comes a burden upon Israel and IDF, especially to document the whole proceedings in a way that it's convincing. So we have seen when that one image was released, one video was released of how this terror tunnel was present under a hospital. You released one 3D imagery of that. People were asking and mocking Israel like, this can be drawn by anyone who knows a little bit of the CGX and other things. So how would you see preparing or documenting all these things necessary as a means to fight this disinformation?
It's so easy to misinform and to distort the truth and the facts, especially in the age of artificial intelligence. We are seeing, before the era of AI, they would just use photos from Syria and say that this is what Israel just did. They just recently are using photos of children with diseases, with genetical diseases, and saying that this is caused by starvation. Not releasing the health records that show that there's a genetic disease. There is a war. Just like I fought Hamas in the battlefield, now I fight liars on social media, and it's a very important battle, because a lot of politicians, they make their decisions based off social media, and it's important to reach people with the truth. I think that it's so important. There is even a job in the Israel Defense Forces. It's called a military photographer. Some of them are joining even operations to make sure that they document what the IDF is doing, and so that they can tell the world, because you are not able to enter into the tunnel, but when you're presented with the footage, you can make up your own mind. I have to say, I'm not trying to convince people to stand with Israel. I'm trying to let people know what is going on and let them make up their own minds, because when you make up your own mind, no one can push you out of it. So I want people to know the truth. Of course, I want people to love Israel, but at the end of the day, when you are certain, when you are given both images, then you can make up your own mind. So it's an important battle, the battle of information, and I'm so glad that many Indians are taking part of that.
So in that way, even you can count me one among you that maybe not officially a part of IDF, but fighting disinformation is a crucial thing to do in this present society, especially by using the social media and internet. It's so easy to spread this false information like anything. So we are using the same means by which we can exploit information technology to give away the right information. So I think that's working, and we are gaining more people to understand the reality, and they are coming forward themselves. We need not push, as you said. Okay.
Absolutely. I have to say quickly, I know that it's probably close to the end, but I have to say
Yeah.
that
Mm,
it's very similar to the story of India. When India was attacked in 1999 in the Kargil War, very few nations stood with India. Israel
mm,
was there for India. Israel was not disinformed, and Israel stood there with India. When India when the ethnic cleansing happened in Indian territories of Indian nationals by radical Muslims, the world stood silent, and we Israelis are not silent with that. And today you see that Indians are not silent when Israel is under attack. And I have to say, it has nothing to do with your religion. It doesn't matter if you're Hindu, Christian, Muslim, atheist. This is the war of the truth, because India and Israel have a great future, and it is our responsibility to build it together. When no one stood with India, Israel was there. When no one stands with Israel, India is there. As
mm.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said, even if we have to stand alone, we will stand alone. But I'm happy that we don't stand alone.
That's it. Anyway, so before closing, I have two more questions if you have a little more time for us.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's regarding the international peacekeeping forces, the UN, and the international community, other countries, um, who are misled by some of these propaganda, and they are asking for ceasefire without mentioning a word about the hostages, no call for release of hostages, but they are voicing too much about a ceasefire, and they are silent about what happened with the UNRWA. So, could you please give us some idea of what is going on with this UNRWA and the UN in giving out a lot of misinformation and doing all these things?
Well, UNRWA, this
Yeah,
UN
UNRWA.
agency tasked with Palestinian refugees, it's actually existing not to usually an agency that works with refugees, like with the Syrian refugees. Their job is to end their status and to make sure that you solve their problem. Because a refugee is a status; it's not who you are. When you solve it, you finish your job. But UNRWA with the Palestinians, their job is not to finish it, but to sustain their status. In this war, by the way, UNRWA reported that 193 of their workers died in the war. And I'm asking them how many of these
Yeah,
workers were members of Hamas, because we have evidence of UN employees that participated in the massacre. Just,
right.
where is the outrage? When they
Nowhere.
came to blame Israel, they don't talk about it. And how can we have ceasefire when I don't wish for anyone who is watching this that their family will be in captivity, and for the world to call on them to sit down and to be quiet. If your family was in captivity, you would not call for ceasefire. You would call to bring them home. And Israel is doing that, bringing them home. Imagine if Pakistan attacks India and India responds, if the world demands India to sit back, you don't have this privilege. It's not a privilege, it's a duty. You've been tasked with defending Israel. You have to do that. So when they talk about ceasefire, what they're basically saying is lose this war. Now we don't want this war, but they started it, and they will not choose the end of it. We are going to end this war.
Okay. Let's hope that happens very soon, and we see peace prevailing over that area as early as possible. That's what we all wish to see. So now, coming towards another aspect of this peacekeeping forces and how Israel has responded to them, that is a defiance towards what UN asked you to do. the International Court of Justice asked to do, and many other things. The arrest warrants were made and all. So when you stay defiant to such things, how do you see that you will be accepted in the international community? Do you care about that?
Look, we live in a world where mainstream media does not care about reporting truth and facts, but about political agenda. We live in a world where international forums don't care about justice, but about political agenda. They have long lost their credibility. And it's not just about Israel. Look about what's happening in the African continent. There are African Christians butchered by Boko Haram and by other ISIS-affiliated terror groups. Nobody's talking about that. In 2023, more than 3,000 Christians were killed in Africa, in Nigeria. No one talks about it. So it's when how can my children, how can your children trust the international forums to build a better future when they reward terrorist states like Iran that was sitting on a women's rights committee and on a nuclear control committee? So it's just ridiculous. You have South Africa that made this claim against Israel at the International Criminal Court, which is the highest court,
Right.
and it was built to prevent genocides after the Holocaust. And now you see countries like South Africa, the headed by the ANC party, that they South Africa, by the way, has the highest crime rate in the world, if I'm not wrong. And they have massive issues. They're best friends with Hamas. They're best friends with Iran. As we say, show me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. So they want to cover up their human rights violations by attacking Israel because it has become fashion. It has become fashion. If you don't want the attention on your problems, blame it on Israel. Your phone doesn't work, blame it on Israel. Your TV is in the wrong channel, blame it on Israel. So you know what? We're sick and tired of that, and we're not going to apologize. This is the bottom line. Just like India should not apologize for caring for itself, for securing its borders, because those that criticize you, they don't live on your borders with China or Pakistan. It's your country, and you will do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're safe, period.
Right. So, in fact, that also makes it clear that even before engaging into war or even into governance, you need to acknowledge that you have civilians. The people you are caring for are your civilians, your citizens, and then only you can try to save them. And such an understanding is absent with Hamas, and that's why they are using them as human shields, and they are using the weapon to the humans to protect their weapons, while Israel is using the weapons to protect their humans. So that's the difference what we see here. So coming to the final part, that is, it's for sure that Hamas will be wiped out. I'm agreeing to that. So, but there's a possibility that another group of terror organization could come up and cause the same events, which can lead to unending wars the same way. So, what are your plans to stop that from recurring?
Well, that's definitely a concern of many, and I like the response of some of the responsible leaders in Israel that said, you know, we will discuss the future of Gaza when we finish this war. Right now, we're busy finishing this war and rescuing hostages. This is the top priority. But me as a person, I think that Israel must ensure that that there is no ability for any terror group to rise inside the Gaza Strip. But mind you, that Israel does not want to occupy the Gaza Strip. Israelis were there before 2005, and Israel gave this back to the Palestinians. They said, give us back. Okay, They say,
Surely.
give us back and you will have peace. We gave them and land and we don't see peace. So I think the only solution to this cycle of hatred is through education. When you start educating the next generation to believe in peace and to stop believing in killing Jews, killing people that are different from you, so that's the day that we will all step closer to having peace with one another.
Okay, great. So now the final question, the $1,000,000 question. Is there a two-state solution in the anvil? So will that happen? So in the previous peace talks and treaties we have seen in 1948, 67 and all. So and even after that, 1993. So what about the two-state solution in 2024? Is it still alive?
So this is a very deep question also in Israel, because as you know, in 47 there was the UN partition plan. For Arab state, Jewish state, Jews agreed, Arabs refused and waged war. This was our independence war. And then since then till 2024, there were peace offers. So the left politicians in Israel, they made very generous offers, even going back to the 67 lines of the 6-Day War. But so there throughout history, we have offered a lot of peace plans, and some of them were extremely generous. That such as I think almost also giving up all of the West Bank. Of Judea, but the answer was always a loud no. And I'll tell you why. Because they don't want peace. Their leaders don't want peace with Israel. They want peace without Israel. They don't want a state next to Israel. They want a state without Israel. And this method does not work. You don't give land for peace. You give peace for peace. This is how it works. And this is how Israel made peace with 4 Arab countries. We made peace in 2020, historic peace, as an agreement. Peace for peace. Peace through strength. Nobody wants to make peace with the weak. And Israel is a strong country. So I have to say, at the end of the day, I believe in peace. And at the end of the day, I don't think that it's humane to kick people out of their homes and to expel people. And I respect Palestinians. If you want to call yourself Palestinian, even though it's a made up name, but and that's a deeper topic. But bottom line, I will respect you, but I demand a respect back. The question should be, that's why you were very right with your question. It's not about who was here first. This will be a very quick argument. The question should be, how do we move forward? We need to find a way to move forward, because our children do not need to see more bloodshed.
Okay, so that means there's no namesake two-state solution. If they really believe in peace, coexistence, that can be made.
Well, the right-wing side of Israel does not like the idea of one state or two states, and for different reasons. In short, one state, meaning that you will lose the Jewish majority of the country, and a two-state means you lose your historical land. So in a way, it's very similar to India and Pakistan, because Pakistan was India until you decided, okay, you want a Muslim country, go there. Of course, it's much deeper than that, but that's just on the surface. So I think that at the end of the day, it's no one has been able to solve it. Throughout history, was it Bush, Bill Clinton, Trump, Biden? But I think that it lies in the people. If you want peace, demand it. And so I really pray and hope that there will be peace, because um, it's not normal. It's not normal to live in constant war and constant conflict. But also at the same time, I want you to remember that Israel is much more than the wars and the conflict. Israel is a beautiful land where you can float on the Dead Sea, enjoy the minerals, swim in the Sea of Galilee. We have in the winter snow up in the north. You have the desert in the south. We have such a beautiful country, and it could be paradise without all these conflicts.
Right. So we are also hoping for such a day when we see real peace prevailing over that place, and the Jews and the Arabs all living in a beautiful beautiful land where we all can travel without any fear of any stepping onto any mine or any blast or anything like that. So let's hope for that. And now the final question that I had reserved for you is that what's your ETA for India?
Wow. So I've been it's something that it's been a big dream of mine to visit India. And every time I started planning a trip to India, it was very hard because I'm blessed to have many Indian friends from all over India. So when I say, okay, I want to start with Goa, they say, no, 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 no. You have to come first of all to Mumbai or to Delhi or to all kinds of places. So it's
Now
extremely
you
hard
have
to plan
Kochi.
it.
Now you have
Right.
Kochi too
So
into that
so
list.
so my friends in Kerala, they said, okay, start in Goa, and then go
Okay.
up to Kerala. Bottom line is that it's going to happen. Now I have my wife. Her name is India, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She's of Indian origin. So
Okay.
I think that it's one of these moments where you know that if you go to India, it's so special that you have to make the most out of it. I want to relax, but at the same time, I want to film videos. I want to make more friends. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So if the viewers have recommendations, please write them down, because after this live, I'm going to check the comments. I want to see recommendations. Look, Arif, I love
Yeah.
nature. I love I love rivers, and I love to swim. So I don't know if I think India has that almost everywhere.
Yeah, so that's a great clue to if any of the travel bloggers are here, you can just keep an eye on his travel plans so that you can catch him anywhere in India. So you
By the
can recommend
way,
him.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
fun
So you
fact,
can
there is a
definitely.
place in India with the only the left some special tigers. I think it's up in a
Okay.
state. Anyways, India is an amazing country. I just have to get some recommendations to build a plan.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a travel expert, so there might be some people over here so to recommend you the right places and the right time as well. Because as you said, you have a desert in the south and the snow in the north. We have even more like east and west and center. So all sort of terrains and climate and all such things. So you can experience that. So you are welcome here. And above all, this is a huge moment. And one final message to the viewers here, especially those people who support Hamas, especially Hamas, not Palestinians. So we have even Khalid Mashail, that's the leader of Hamas, who gave a telecon in one of the processions that happened in my state. So that's how the fan base is here for Hamas. So to them, I'm
Oh
saying this.
wow.
That is, yeah. So to them, I'm saying here this one. That is, we had a long discussion for about 1 hour and 20 minutes, and not even a single instance he mentioned about this Jew who is sitting with me right now, an Israeli, he's sitting here. Not even once he mentioned about any historical reason. We were here in this region for 3,000 years. So that's the reason why we are asking for this. No, you didn't hear that. Because we live in the present and we are looking to the future and we are looking for peace and not for reasons to live, to claim victimhood and to bargain with that. So that's a very good model for you to to grow up. So I wish this will be reaching the right ears to take the right decisions, so that we all are expecting the real peace that we wish to see, not in just in this generation, even in the generations to come. And for that, your presence here is so vital, and I appreciate for that, for accepting our invitation and to come here, spend this much time, and the beautiful messages and the replies. So do you have anything more to add before winding up?
I just want to say thank you, because it's so important for me to speak with India. I feel like when I speak with you and with our audience, I feel like I speak with India, and it's something that I value, because India. I've always cared about India since I was young. I don't know why, but now now you see that it's, standing with India is a strong investment, because India is a rising power. India has so much talent, and on top of that, it's a democracy, where you have people, all kinds of opinions. So for me, it's important. So I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and to I hope enjoying the conversation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So no more to add, because I'm already happy to have you here to listen to you. And so would be my viewers here all over the world. We've been streaming even on Twitter, sorry, X app. Okay.
Yeah, now
So
it's
let's,
X. Yeah.
yeah, very difficult to call that name. Anyway, so thank you so much once again. So we'll continue our conversation over email and other platforms. So we will be in touch, and please don't forget to refer me a Palestinian, so that I can talk to him as well, like this, to know from him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I will have to
Yes.
come up with an idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Yes.
You
Peace.
too.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the day. And thank you so much for all the viewers here. I hope you might have got an idea of what all things are going on in the world, in that part of the world, the Middle East, with the Palestine, Israel, Hamas, Gaza, Rafah, all eyes on Rafah. You might have heard of all those things. So along with that, you need to talk about the hostages, the operations which is being carried out in that region, fighting the tunnels and all such things. So I just sort of giving you an idea from the person who have seen all these things on the ground. So, and I think Hanania was the right person, and I was waiting for him to accept our invitation, and finally we got him. So thank you so much for all the viewers. We'll meet with another interview, another live. So till then, bye-bye. നമ്മളെ വീഡിയോ കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ആളുകൾ ചാനൽ സബ്സ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് ചെയ്ത് നമ്മളെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുക. മറ്റു രീതിയിൽ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന ആളുകൾക്ക് അതിൻ്റെ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷനിലുണ്ട്. നിങ്ങളുടെ ഓരോ ലൈക്കും ഷെയറും അതുപോലെ കമൻ്റ് ഇടുന്നതും ഇതിൽ ഈ വീഡിയോ അതിൻ്റെ താഴെ വരുന്ന കമൻറ്റുകൾക്ക് നിങ്ങൾ പ്രതികരിക്കുന്നതെല്ലാം തന്നെ വീഡിയോയുടെ റീച്ച് കൂടുന്നതിന് വലിയ തോതിൽ ഉപകാരപ്പെടുന്ന സംഗതിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് അതിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ഏർപ്പെടണം എന്നും കൂടി ഞാൻ അഭ്യർത്ഥിക്കുകയാണ്. മറ്റുള്ള രീതിയിലുള്ള സപ്പോർട്ട് തുടർന്നും നിങ്ങളുടെ ഭാഗത്തുനിന്നുണ്ടാവും എന്ന് പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നു.